All right, what's up, you dirtbags? My name is Luke Egerbrotten. We are back in studio with another episode for you guys. I hope you're all having a great summer. I know most of you that I talk to, we're busy, we're getting shit done. Excited for this episode that we're going to bring you today. It's really going to open your mind. Honestly, it's probably going to crush a lot of your guys' excuses that you have for yourself. So very, very excited. Before we kind of dive into our guest here, we got a couple updates, of course, as I like to go through. If you're listening and you get any value from the show, drop a comment on Spotify, drop a comment on Apple Podcasts, rate the show 5 stars if you haven't yet. It helps a ton. I go through it every episode because the podcast is free for you guys. Our sponsors help out, get us some revenue and get us some exposure. But also you guys can really help out by giving us a review there. So we are live on YouTube as well. We're pumping out long form videos. So we have the whole podcast on YouTube if you want to throw it up on TV there. And then also we have the shorts, YouTube shorts, TikToks, all that. So our guy Keegan has been working behind the scenes the last couple of years, putting all the micro content together, and that's been really awesome to see. So definitely appreciate all your guys' support there. It's Spotify and Apple Podcasts have been, I'd say, rewarding us with impressions, with views, and getting our podcast out there to people that have never heard of the show. So thank you for that. And then, of course, another reminder on Dirtbags University. It's our webinar. It's closed off, one time only, June 9th. We have our panel just about set. We've got Thomas Hahn, president of Turner Staffing. He'll be presenting on the panel. We have Jenny Williams, owner and lead estimator at WDS Contracting. She will also be presenting. And then we'll announce our third speaker on the panel shortly. The link to register is in our description. Also, you can go to dirtbagspodcast.com or just type in Dirtbags University on Google and you'll find the link on our website there. It's $20 to register. This is, I think, our 8th or 9th webinar we've done since 2023. They're always a hit. We get usually about 50 to 70 dirtbags from across the world show up, network, have some drinks. It's on a Monday night. And just learn and implement something new into their business. So it's a great networking opportunity. It's great to learn from incredible leaders on the panel, but it's also a good time. We'll do some giveaways too. We gave away $300 in Yeti equipment last one, and Jake Martin won that. So huge shout out to our speakers, our sponsors, and of course, you guys already know who our sponsors are. Definitely give them some love, give them a shout out. Reach out to them if you need anything construction insurance related. Charlie Huff is our guy. Easy enough. You can just text him if you want to get a free quote, 385-268-9939. And then, of course, we have Eljen Corporation. They are one of my favorite companies out there. If you guys haven't heard them, you can check them out at eljen.com. Since 1970, they've been pushing the dirt world forward with their innovative septic tech. So they're most known for their geotextile sand filter system, so GSF, but they are 100% backing the veterans. All their employees are veterans, and they do a ton of donating septic systems to veterans in need. So I know Dervin with Dig It Excavating, he's also jumped in and helped. Sledgehammer's jumped in and helped there, but just a incredible, innovative, forward-thinking company that is doing it also for our veterans. So I can't thank them enough for sponsoring the Dirtbags and helping out the show. And of course, Charlie as well. So give them a shout out any chance you guys get. Go follow them on Instagram and go check out their stuff. So with that, we are coming up close to our episode 100 finale. I believe this will be episode 93 or 94. So keep your eyes peeled. Episode 100, it's going to be a big deal. I haven't talked about it yet until this very moment. So got some big things planned. If you guys have any guesses on what you think it might be, who you think it might be, what we're going to do, definitely let me know. Shoot a DM over and we'll see what you guys got. But very, very excited for our 100th episode coming up. I believe it will be, looking at my calendar here, it should be August 29th is my guess. So it'll be that Friday. Big stuff coming. So really excited for that. But without further ado, Super, super excited to welcome into the studio a great, great friend of mine, a longtime client of Phaser, but also one of the most forward-thinking people and entrepreneurs that I've met. And so excited to welcome in Zach Miller from Southern Property Services into the Dirtbag studio. Zach, how we doing, man?
Cheers, man. Thanks for having
Dude,
me. I really appreciate it.
this
Looking,
is uh, this is way better than working, huh? I mean, just
oh, yeah.
having a couple drinks. For me, it's 1 p.m. my time, so this is even better.
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock here. So,
Yeah, it's basically 5 o'clock. So,
yeah.
um, dude, you're a scuba diver. I mean, let's talk about that. Let's start there. So obviously you're a business owner, entrepreneur, but we were catching up before the show and you're big into scuba diving. So talk to me more about that, how that came about, and yeah, it's super interesting. You've been doing it the last 4 years, I believe.
Yeah. So I started as you know, I'm graduating from University of Tennessee. So I've been in school 4 years and while running the business at the same time and needed kind of a little bit of an outlet to relax and not have my phone. I mean, as you're aware, as a business owner, your phone never stops ringing. So when you're under the water, your phone can't really ring. So that was my
Yeah.
ideas to do it. So I started as a freshman doing the basic underwater class, and then as I spent more time at school every semester, took another class, and they started the program, and it's just kept growing and growing. And now I'm an instructor for scuba diving, assistant instructor. And as we were talking about before the show, yeah, I spent last weekend training like 55 kids and got their
Man,
open water, advanced, and rescue certifications.
is this something that is a course offered through the college? Like you get credits or?
Yeah, so they have almost 6 or 7 classes. It used to just be he started it. It's an old man who runs it. His name is Don Orr, and he started it 50 years ago, 40 years ago, and it used to just be one class, and it was him, and he'd have 2 or 3 students, and then it
Yeah.
became a class, and now I mean, I think there's 4 or 5, 6 classes, maybe everything from open water all the way to the course that is finished, which is master diver, dive master candidate, which is an assistant instructor.
Wow. And so he's still,
He's still out there running it. I mean, he has someone who helps him now, kind of runs with him. His name is Greg Blankenship. Those two kind of run it together. And yeah, it's a blast. It's a great outlet from, the busyness of being
yeah.
at university and the busyness of running a business and just being able to go underwater and not worry about anything other than swimming around and exploring.
Yeah, man, that is so cool. And I want to give people listening kind of an overview of you a little bit. And of course, for anyone listening, you can follow Zach or his business at Southern Property Services with underscores in between there on Instagram. So go give him a follow. Zach, the way you go about your business, I feel like is kind of similar to me. Like I love business. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love just diving in and it's truly my hobby. It's my passion. It's my career. But I don't do it 24/7. There's other things that I like to do. There's other people I like to hang out with. There's other conversations I like to have. And the more I get to learn about you, I mean, you thought you were 23 years old. You're actually 22. And it's like, so you're 22 and you're running a business, right? You're graduating from college. So just going to college is one thing, but graduating this year, I know you've got a big party coming up. We're
Yep.
gonna see if we can take the private jet out there. Uh, and but then you have these other hobbies and you love to travel and you love scuba diving and all this. So I think it's just a great perspective to have. And of course, a lot of this we'll talk about business. You run a Southern Property Services, so let's start there. But I definitely want to kind of hit on some of the other aspects too, because there's a lot going on in your life, and it seems like you're corralling it all together.
Yeah. So I'll start with a little introduction. You kind of lead me where you want me to
Yeah.
go with it. So we started, so I said I'm 22 now. I technically started this, you could say, when I was 14. Me and my best friend ride our bikes around. I mean, you know the story. Knock on doors and mow grass, bag leaves, do whatever it is you got to do. And as things got a little bit bigger, I would, hey, Mom, I need you to drop me, and his name's Bobby Cook. Mom, I need you to go drop me and Bobby off over at this client's house and go pick up some bales of pine straw for me. It'd be 10 bales of pine straw, whatever it was. But it was my biggest job that week. And it was $75 to go lay bales of pine straw. And I thought it was the coolest thing. And then, as I turned 15, I bought my first truck. I paid half of it up front and loaned the other half for my parents. And then we started being able to do, jobs in the neighborhood, driving around in the neighborhood. So we could do pine straw mulch. And then we realized, okay, maybe we should get into rock a little bit and went up to Bentley Stone Yard, owner Lot there has taught me pretty much everything that I know. And he really took me under his wing and any question I have, he's always there for me. Same with this team that I've grown now. They still, with all their years of expertise, will lean on him.
Yeah.
So he was like, you know what, you should get into some stone work. So we started with 57 stone and doing light drainage work. And then it was, let's try a parking pad. So every year, every month. So it just kept growing and growing and growing. And we started doing a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And that's when I started to realize, okay, this doesn't need to be, without jumping too far ahead, I already at that point at 16 driving my truck, realizing, okay, well, what if we had I buy Bobby a truck. Bobby drives his truck around, does all the pine straw and mulch. I'll drive my truck around and we'll do, the rock stuff or the drainage stuff or the landscape design stuff. And we did, we cut grass until, what was it? I was 17. So, I mean, no hate to those guys, obviously. But we decided that that wasn't the path we wanted to move towards. We wanted to do more project-based installation, getting into the stone and the pavers and retaining walls and not really knowing anything and having guys work with my buddies, work with that kind of stuff. And Lot, we'd pull in there and say, Lot, we just did a quote for as small as it was, a 10-foot retaining wall, 3 foot tall. How the hell do you build this? And he
Yeah.
would get us through there and tell us about how to do every single piece of it. So he was a really good mentor that kind of helped get this thing started for me, as well as Bobby Cook. And then we just leveraged a lot of our friends and started using them and using their trucks. And these guys grew up in, South Georgia. So they know they're a little handy here and there. And
Yeah.
it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then obviously a lot of things have changed in the last, 4 years now.
Yeah. So then great description of like how you started. Give us an update, kind of where are you at now in 2025, fleet size, employees, even revenue range roughly. Like give us a snapshot of kind of where you're at today as well.
Yeah, so we're doing over 1 million a year in sales right now, which was a pretty cool milestone to hit. We have a lot of probably have 10 internal employees and then we use another 10 guys that are on call that are part-time, especially now being April, the busiest month there is.
Yeah.
So as of right now, you could say we have 20 guys that report every day to work at, 7 in the morning, go to the shop and load up in the trucks and head out and go knock out all these tasks. Started off, do you want me to talk about, I guess, the hiring and all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Give us all of it because we took the jump, we got the beginning, we got okay, now we're at basically 20 starting out in the morning. So let's go
Yeah,
through it here.
let's talk about how we built it. So, like I said, it was me and Bobby at the beginning, and then from Bobby and I, we started using and leveraging our friends, younger brother and friends, stuff like that. And as things started to grow, I realized, okay, this has become a lot of work. So it was after school every day. COVID hit, which was a massive blessing for us. We were honestly able to work a lot during COVID, being, essential workers down in Georgia. So we met another contractor who was a pine straw and mulch guy. He kept two crews completely busy for me through sub work. So I had at this point went from just me and my buddies to then me and my buddies creating four crews. These two crews were just pine straw and mulch solely. That became kind of our bread and butter. It's just the ground cover, long needle pine straw, bagged mulch or bulk mulch. And then me and Bobby would handle install work. So that could be small parking pads, residential. It could be, 15, 20 bushes. Then we started getting to sod install, created a great connection with Super Sod, which I know a lot of guys work with. Um, and we decided, okay, this has become a lot of work. So being young and having a lot of, kids always want to make money. I reached out to one of my best friends in high school, a girl best friend, and I was like, hey, I need help. Like, there's just a lot of busy work that I know a lot of these guys listening deal with all the time. I mean, putting in estimates, sending invoices, ordering material, ordering merchandise. I mean, you know it all day.
Mhm.
Calendars. typing up contracts, all sorts of stuff. Just became busy work. And I saw myself spending more time in the car or in the truck on my computer or sitting at home on the computer than being boots on the ground, which at that point I wanted to be boots on the ground. I wanted to build this thing. I wanted to learn because I didn't know myself, so I wanted to learn. So I finally ended up finding someone that I just paid a couple $100 a week to, and she would do she's very, very part-time, and she would do office work for me, just the busy work that I didn't have time for. And that was kind of my first real hire, I would say. And then, we transitioned out and I hired who you know now through Phaser, who's Catherine, who's our office
Mhm.
lady, who's been with us for a few years. And
MVP.
yeah, she's the best.
MVP. She's running the show.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely running the show. She is full time with us now. She does everything. I mean, she seriously, as you were saying, MVP, we're even on these phaser calls. And as you've seen, she's damn near leading the calls at this point. I mean, she
Yeah.
knows more about day to day, sometimes than I do, which is a good and a bad thing. And we'll dive into that. But hiring Catherine was a big deal. And then hiring Juan, who is my operations manager, was my biggest hire after obviously an office staff. I going to college was forced with the big decision, either go to college or go full blown SPS. And I kind of decided to do both. And to do
Yeah. So yes, because at so SPS, what were you doing at that time in revenue when you had to make that decision? Because I think this is fascinating because you do decide to do both.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. We were probably doing 500,000. I mean, we were doing
Yeah.
a decent, I mean, we were doing a lot of work. We were doing maybe 450,000. We were doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I had to make that decision. It was a long talk with my parents. I mean, they're obviously wanting me to go to school, reading things online and other podcasts and hearing from other people. And oh, you don't need college. Oh, you need college. So I made the decision to grow SPS and go to college, which has been great. It's also been incredibly, incredibly stressful, but it's definitely not impossible. And I know a lot of what we want to talk about is the how I'm able to do it, and it's because of the team that I've built.
Yeah.
Um, Catherine handling office stuff puts, 6, 8, 10 hours worth of workload off of my plate. Hiring
Mhm.
Juan, who we hired initially as a foreman crew member, who I realized has 20 years of landscape experience, has a background in running his own company for a brief period of time, has sales experience, has management experience. I hit the absolute jackpot with him, um, and just trusted him and started and realized that we started him off what was yeah my freshman year. So what was that, 3 years ago? Started 4 years ago. Started him off, and it's like, hey, I need you to go do X, Y, and Z. Catherine would send him what the quote was. I would
Yeah.
come home every couple weeks and go do 25, 30 estimates in 2 or 3 days and send all those quotes out, Catherine and I together. And then when someone would call me for a quote, I'd have to wait until I come back home. But I'd have all these jobs would get accepted, and I would send Juan out and send my other high school guys out and my other college guys, or guys I know didn't go to school, and trusted them, and they would do the work. But I realized, okay, this is impossible without me being there. So I kind of self-promoted Juan without him kind of being aware to damn near running it for me. He does everything. I mean, he at that point before we hired even more staff, which we'll touch on, he would do sales, he would do estimation, he would do material ordering, he would do work with Catherine, he would talk to marketing. I mean, he would do everything that I would do, just kind of together. And it was a really, really hard thing for me to do, was to allow myself to trust somebody, to bring someone in like that, because it's my name, my reputation on the line. And I ended up hiring someone who cares about my name and my reputation just as much as I do, if not more, which is the absolute jackpot.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think he treats me so well is because I pay him double the industry standard. I mean, not to break down what I pay the guy on a podcast here, but I mean, he makes double. I mean, you can Google what an operation manager makes at a $1 million landscape company. He gets paid double that.
Yeah.
He gets Christmas bonus. If something comes up in his life and he needs his phone bill paid for, it's not even a question. It's of course.
Yeah.
He goes above and beyond for me, and that's helped me trust him to be able to grow the thing. And then after we hired Juan and made that initial, what would you say? that investment into Juan and trusting him, allowing him to come in, we hired a sales guy. And that took a little bit of the load off of Juan because Juan was doing everything and he needed to focus more on operations. As we hired Juan, hired foremen and crew guys under him, that's important. But having your upper management established first, I think, is definitely more important. Um, and so we hired then a sales guy, a sales manager, and he took the load off of Juan, allowing him to focus on operations and sales guy to focus on sales. And he had a sales background, not a ton in landscape or hardscape or outdoor construction, but knew how to run a sales company and allowed him to come in and didn't shut him down when he came to me with ideas and things that scared me. I mean, he wanted to change systems, wanted to invest in new programs. And instead of shutting him down and just saying, stop, no, like I'm not comfortable with this, I hired him for a reason, right? I mean, I looked at his resume. We did interviews. Juan talked to him. I talked to him. Catherine talked to him. And we all saw the potential in him. So when he comes on the team and is like, Zach, I need you to do open phone, which we can talk about later, but even our phone software. I mean, he is like, Zach, this is an investment into the company. Yes, it's expensive. It's a couple $100 a month. More than that, it's expensive, but
That's we use open phone as well, actually.
right.
Yeah.
So it's a great program. It's a great tool that allows your business to grow and take the next step. And I was hesitant. I mean, putting money into it is scary. I mean, and
Yeah.
I totally understand. But I hired this guy. I trust this guy. And he said this would help us grow. And so I took the investment and trusted him. And now I've seen the return on investment. I mean, he's selling it. It's not crazy numbers, but he's selling 3 to 5 projects a week at, minimum $10,000, but anywhere between 10,000 to 50 to even sometimes 100 or $150,000 projects. He's making sales. He's doing his job, and we pay him a lot of money as well. And then, hiring the foreman and things like that.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to park on that you said that I thought was very interesting, and I think, and I want to hear your perspective on this. I think a lot of entrepreneurs listening might be missing or might be doing the opposite of. And you mentioned hiring the upper management first. I feel like that is very rare in a landscaping company, or in most companies for that matter. Typically, you might think, oh, I need a laborer to get more of the work done, or I need an operator. And yes, those are great positions, but a lot of times you're looking for the cheapest. And
Right.
so when you're hiring for upper management first, my guess is that you're taking less profit home, of course, because you're investing into your team, your company, your systems by doing that. So you've been around the industry now for a little while, and you've talked to others. Like, do you see that happen mostly where they aren't hiring upper management first?
You're totally right. I mean, the easiest hire to make is a laborer. I mean, and you can find a laborer sitting at McDonald's. You can find a laborer walking around Home Depot. I mean, you can find a laborer anywhere. And depending on where you are in the country, $150 a day to $250 a day, wherever it is. And in the grand scheme of things, when you're doing a couple $1,000 project, or even some of your bigger guys, I mean, doing 50, $100 million projects, I mean, a laborer is nothing. Hiring management that costs you, minimum 50, 60, $100,000 a year is terrifying. And it's a scary investment, but it is the best investment I've made. I mean, it's allowed me to not necessarily it has allowed me to take a step back, but it's allowed me to take a comfortable step back. So I take my small step back and let David, my sales manager, do his job. I let him sell. I let him handle clients that, have questions about sales that you call 3 or 4 times in a week to try and make that sale happen. It may not seem like a lot, but if I'm doing that on top of the 100 other things I'm doing, then I can't, you can't have your hands everywhere. And that's what
Yeah.
everyone wants to do. And it was the hardest part for me to learn. And I think I just learned quick, looking up to people in my life. But I love the fact that I was able to hire people in upper management. So they were doing not necessarily my job for me, but assisting me in my job and allowing me to focus on other things, which is the same way you can look at it as a laborer. Like, yes, I know everybody talks about this. You can't be your business, right?
Yep.
I mean, I can't be the guy. If I want to scale this thing, I can't be the guy with the shovel every day. I can't be the guy driving the skid every day, driving the excavator, whatever it is, because you have to focus on business development. And the way I look at it is I hire people that will drive the skid steer, and I also hire people that will work on business development, business management. and we can work together where I can make sure, the laborers are doing their thing, but I can also work on, okay, my operation manager can focus on laborers. So now I can work on upper management. Upper management, that includes, marketing, sales, advertising, um, all the
Yeah.
pieces and puzzles that you use to grow a business rather than just boots on the ground labor.
Yeah, and I think we talk about this all the time too. Of it is different building a business compared to building up your job the way you want it. And a lot of us, when we start out, it's just that's how it is. Like we just have a job, and we leave corporate America, or we leave college, or we leave high school, or we leave our job, and we start our own job, which is starting a business in air quotes. And ideally, and this is what I've noticed too when building the business, is that I'm enjoying it so much more now. The problems are a lot bigger and a lot tougher, but I'm enjoying it so much more because there are people that are in the trenches with me, whether that be our clients, but also, of course, our team. And you talk a lot about your team and speak very highly of them. And I speak very highly of our team and just the way they respect each other, the way they respect me, and the way I respect them. I always tell, and Josie's a great example of, she's really running the business. She's our COO. She is running the company. And I always tell her, like, what you're getting paid now, like, even after a raise, I'll say, like, you still deserve more. And
Put the words
no,
out of my mouth.
yeah, like, no matter what, there, it really is no number. But she and the whole team are so invested in the company's mission of where we're trying to go and what we're trying to accomplish together that everyone's very okay and happy with where they're at. And of course, like you mentioned, I make sure to take care of them in any way else I can too, to make sure they're comfortable and make sure they have what they need. And I want everyone to make money. I want everyone to be successful. And that is just so much. I've gotten so much joy out of that the last year of building a team, building careers. And it's like, wow, this is so much more impact we can have on our team, but then on others in the industry as well. And so it's just been really cool to see you grow your team as well. And then our teams working together when it's like, Catherine and Josie and Haley leading the meetings, and
You
you
and
and
I
I
are
are on
sitting
a
there watching.
podcast
Yeah.
drinking
No,
Celsius and bourbon.
yeah, it's great. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, we all obviously everyone in our industry, on our side gets the joy out of. I mean, same way you get the joy out of watching your phaser clients succeed. I mean, I obviously get the joy out of a successful project and a pretty looking landscape or hardscape. But you make a good point. I mean, the other fun thing about being a business owner is seeing the joy on your employees' face. I mean, giving guys, I mean, I have a great example of one of our foremen. I don't want to use his name, but one of our foremen was never kind of taken seriously with a job. I mean, was always given, some $15 an hour job or, told he could be a part of the team and then fired and whatever it was, or just false promises. And he's young as well. He's 26. And he worked for us part time, blah, blah, blah. It all worked out. And then I was like, you know what, Juan, like, what are your thoughts? Like, you work with him every day, you see him, and Juan loves the guy. Juan swears by the guy. So I said, all right, cool. I'm in Atlanta next couple days. Let me check it out, blah, blah, blah. Showed up to some jobs. It's like, all right, I love this guy. I, got the hoodies made, got the quarter zips, the hats, printed out his employee paperwork and handed it to him with a pen. And I've never seen somebody's face light up as much as that kid's face lit up. I mean, he had tears in his eyes. He was so excited. And as great as it is to see a client happy, it's even cooler to see you give somebody an opportunity and a job and put
Yeah.
a smile on their face and put money in their pocket and give them and money to go back to their family. So it's cool seeing developing a team, giving people opportunity, giving people employment, and then even cooler, what you just mentioned. I mean, our teams are working behind the scenes as you and I are sitting here on a podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
we had a our teams had a call at 3 o'clock today. I mean, this is
Yeah.
an hour before our podcast here. Catherine and Haley are on a call. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. And what a cool story you just shared of just his eyes lighting up. I feel like I could go on about stories like that in our company. And it makes me so happy to see, but just to see the gratitude that they have. And it, it's almost shocking to me that so many other companies aren't doing what I think are just the basics and like the standards of taking care of people. Um, and one other thing that we've done, and if anyone follows our Instagram or any of our social media, you'll see it. We do hiring graphics, and a lot of people think that's so awesome or they think it's so different or crazy, but I love just celebrating when we give somebody a new job and in the way of like, how on Twitter the breaking news, somebody will an NFL team will sign a new free agent or something like that. Like it's a big deal. And like that's when they celebrate, but nobody does that in the workforce. Nobody does that in the corporate world. And so we've been doing that and I go a little too far on the captions, I think, but um, it's just a fun way to celebrate them. Like it is a big deal for us, and it's a big deal for them. And one of the other things I want to bring up too is that um, I don't draw the line of, if we hire somebody from Colombia or we hire somebody from Pakistan or somebody from the US, like they're getting a hiring post, they're getting a graphic. And I think that's the big difference is treating everyone like they're a part of the team and not like,
100%.
oh, you're a laborer. Yeah, you're a separate part. And then, oh, upper level management gets, something different. So I think you just do such a great job of treating everyone the way they should be treated. And at 22 years old, you're so young in the business itself, and to see the success you're having, it's not a surprise at all. So
I
I'm I'm
appreciate it.
al- I'm almost curious too, like was there a turning point in your mindset or in your personal life or business life where it did kind of kick in, where you did have this urge or this motivation or letting go of the vine or whatever it was? Was there a certain turning point, or had it always been like this?
Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, you could kind of call it two-phased. I mean, the first phase was definitely going to college. I mean, forcing myself to put the company in a point where it can't just be me. Because if it's just me, then the company's dead. Because I'm in Knoxville and the company's in Atlanta. So that forced me the first time to kind of take a step back. And I still had, my high school buddies who were a year younger than me. It was when I initially hired Juan and gave him a few projects as a foreman, as a laborer, honestly. And then realized, you know what? Let's see what can happen here. I tried to juggle everything together. Not that it was impossible, but as you were explaining at the beginning of the show, I mean, I have hobbies as well. Like I love traveling, I love scuba diving, I love sports, I mean, I'm 22. I want to go out and have fun with my friends.
Yeah.
But I love owning a company. So it was finding that balance. And one, I was looking for somebody, but two, also I got lucky. Someone kind of landed on my lap that it gave me the opportunity to give him the reins and trust him and see what he can do rather than micromanaging. And funny this got brought up. Me and Juan had a conversation about it the other day. As you're aware, Open Phone records the calls and tags the calls and everything, which for the listeners, it's just we can talk about it later, but it's a phone software that we're all using, Luke and I, that you have your team that can reach customers. Make a long story short, he was like, I was mentioning something about the call recording, and he's like, Zach, you don't need to micromanage me. You know, you don't need to. Like, you don't need to listen to the calls. It's like, you're right. And we've been using Open Phone for over a month, and I haven't listened to a single one of Juan's calls because I know I don't
Yeah.
need to because I trust them.
Yeah, that's huge. And I appreciate bringing that up too, because on the show, of course, we like to give tangible like softwares or things that we're using. And it just so happens that, yeah, both of us are using Open Phone. And in our use case, it was one of those things where, so our clients, all of our clients that we have at Phaser, they all have a group message. And up until like last year, it was, Josie's personal number, my personal number, and the client's. And for me, I didn't care because I'm the business owner. Like I want to have everything in my phone. But I mean, for Josie, like you'd wake up on a Monday morning and you'd have 160 missed messages mixed in with personal. So what this did, Open Phone, is instead of the old way of like buying a separate cell phone, getting them a separate phone number, all this stuff, this is literally just a software where they are assigned a phone number. They can text on it. People can call them. Zach, you mentioned it records the calls, and multiple people can manage a single phone number. That's what I like most about it. So, as an
Yeah.
example, for our company, we have our Phaser Success team has one phone number. We have three. Erica, Haley, and Josie manage that phone number. And then we have a graphic design phone number. And so we have Mel, Steven, and then any new graphic designers that come in will also manage that. So it really, really helps organize our business and stay on top of it. And that was your um, free ad sponsor from
Yeah.
Open Phone.
You said, is Open Phone going to give us both a kickback here now?
They should.
No, and I'll touch a little bit how we use it. I mean, we use it in a similar manner, but we use it for the call tree. So now if you call Southern Property Services, and you mentioned when I kind of took a step back, this is the most recent one I took, and it was a scary one. I mean, until a month ago, you called our 816 number, it rang this phone right here, the phone that I held every day. And as Luke mentioned, it turns into a nightmare. I mean, it is hundreds at this point, and it's, not all clients, which if it was, then I wouldn't be a problem. It's everything from marketing companies that are trying to take me away from Phaser. It's
Boo.
yeah, boo. It's suppliers, it's delivery drivers, it's clients talking about. And again, I love talking to my clients, but I mean, it's sometimes it doesn't need to get to me. I mean, sometimes it is, hey, what time are y'all coming today? I mean, that simply can be handled by Catherine. That can be handled by Juan. That can be handled by. So we use it for the call tree. You now call 816 and press one if you're a new customer. It goes straight to David, who's our sales manager. Press two if you're an existing customer. It goes straight to Juan or Catherine. And then press three if you need to get to the office. Go straight to Catherine. So it's a great way and it was scary. I mean, I used to love dealing with it all, but it has now created not a gap, but it's allowed me to breathe a little bit and not get 75 phone calls a day and 200 texts a day. Now I'm allowing my team to take care of what they need to take care of. And as a business owner, I mean, you don't want to take a full step back. You can log in through Open Phone on the platform and you can see exactly what they're doing, which is great. But I've allowed my team to kind of manage that. So when a new customer calls, they reach the office. The office plugs in their information. The information goes from Catherine to the sales manager. Sales manager sends the quote, fields the quote. Then the quote gets approved, goes back to Catherine to get a deposit. Catherine orders the material. Then it goes to Juan to install, and Juan delegates to a team, and delegates to one of the install crews. Install crew gets it done, and it goes back to Catherine to invoice, and I can follow up with the customer and say, how did my team do?
Yeah. And so much of this, there's so many softwares out there, so many things you can do, little tips and tricks. It starts with you have to have good people on your team. And
Yep.
so starting there and then delegating and elevating, like we've talked about, of just letting go, handing it off, and then like shutting up. Honestly, like let them do their thing. That's why you hired them. That's why they're there. And one other note I wanted to say is personally, I think it elevates the perception of your company if Catherine's answering the phone and she's like, yep, they're coming out at 9 a.m. They'll be there, here, there, and there. But when there's levels to it and it's not
Yep.
like the owner always answering, you can hear him in the truck, you can hear him in the skid. And I think there's a level of professionalism there too. And Brian,
I think that's worth every penny.
absolutely. And Anderson Septic, Sam is in the office and she like runs the business because she's focused and she can answer the phone and she can take care of their needs and she's present and she's not pulled in 10 other directions like most business owners would be. So I think that's brilliant. You've done it at a much younger stage in business. I don't think age even matters, honestly, but a younger stage in business. And so I'm almost curious too, like, so, call it 4 years where you were in Tennessee, but the business was out of Alpharetta or Atlanta, Georgia. How did you run a company in two different places? Did you do work in Tennessee as well? Like, how did that all work?
Oh, it's been a nightmare that I've figured out, that I've tamed. So, I mean, every year, as we've talked, I mean, without keep re-harping on it, but I mean, it's all about hiring and delegating. So I would go home, the first year, and every year it changed. A different answer for every year of college. Freshman year, I went home almost every weekend, and it was a nightmare. It was impossible to experience, college, focus on my education as well as building my relationships in college and doing the college experience, which I want to touch on because it's something that my opinions changed on. but it's been difficult. I mean, you freshman year was difficult. I had to go home all the time. But then as I made important hires, I was able to go home less, but still wanted to be a part of it. And then springtime rolls around. I mean, the fall was easy. You stay, I'm at an SEC school, so you stay busy. I
Yeah,
mean, you are
for
there are
sure.
football games every weekend. It is the most fun you will ever have. Like, and again, I do want to talk about this part at some point,
That's
but
coming up next.
okay, good. Um, yeah, I mean it's so enjoyable. But then you get to the spring and there's still a ton going on in college, but as all of our listeners know, anyone in the landscape, hardscape, lawn care, the spring is awesome. The spring is when you do 6 times the amount of work that you're doing in the fall, 6 times the amount of work you're doing in the winter. And missing out on that has been a challenge for me until this year, to be completely honest with you. I mean, I debated freshman year, sophomore year, and junior year. The fall was never a problem. Coming in the summer, it was great, but coming into the spring, I'm missing what I love. So that was a tough battle for me personally, having to make that decision between do I drop out? Do I focus on SPS? Um, and I'm glad we're transitioning into it. But I mean, it was a very difficult thing for me. And I was able to the company kept growing and kept scaling because of my hires and my ability and my trust to be able to delegate. But it was hard for me to take a step back. It was a little sad to not be a part of everything, and I kind of forced myself to do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's dive into that right now. I think that would be perfect. So, talking about college, the college experience, your views on it, but also to give us some insight on what you're studying. I know you're graduating coming up in a few weeks here, so give us some insight on college and your thoughts on that.
Yes, so I was very hesitant. So as I was grew up, like I said, I started SPS when I was 14, 15. So I was a sophomore in high school. It kept growing, 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 and then junior year, senior year, COVID hit. I was able to work every single day because of COVID instead of being in class every day. So that helped me grow SPS a lot as well. And then I had to make the decision: do you go to college or do I grow SPS? And luckily, my parents tried, basically forced me into college. I mean, obviously, you're able to make that decision yourself, but they led me into the direction of college. And I was very hesitant, showed up to the SEC school and absolutely loved it. And the way I look at it, I listen to hundreds of podcasts as well as I know a lot of your listeners have, and read lots of things and Googled it and talked to mentors. And the line is very mixed. Yes, go to college. No, don't go to college. What I will say, coming from somebody graduating from University of Tennessee, and as hard as it has been, is go to college. Go to college for the experience. You can work the rest of your life, and I absolutely love working, but missing out on the college experience, I coming from someone in SEC school, make that very clear. If we're
Yeah.
talking going to a school and just getting a major and having it as a backup, that's another path. My experience is going through the college experience, experiencing college, going to the football games, the basketball games, the random Tuesday night where you go get margaritas and it turns into an all night thing. I mean,
Yeah.
those are memories you're going to have the rest of your life. And yes, you'll have those memories going through businesses and whatnot, but these are stories and memories that I'll have the rest of my life. And I wouldn't trade them for the world as much and as hard as it's been to take a small back seat in my company. It is possible, as we're sitting here having this discussion, it is possible to grow your business. It is possible to um, take a back seat, still be in college, and still work. It's not easy, but it's possible.
And how much better you'll come out from that. And I just think of uh, I think of your situation and how you're still a growing business, you're still in college, you're going to graduate, and you don't get those years back. And
Right.
obviously, like you mentioned too, perfectly, there's the line of don't go to college, it's a waste, and a line of go to college. And yeah, I don't even know where I fall anymore because the 4 years I did in college are the most fun years, some of the most fun years I've ever had. And everything you mentioned there. But what I learned in my education from there didn't amount to the amount of money I spent on it. So I think there's a great middle
I agree.
ground of, and I'm a big proponent too of, I just really don't like debt. And when I graduated, I had it's probably not that much nowadays, but it was $41,000 in student loan debt from a small state school. I'm like, how did that happen? And
Right.
Olivia and I both hammered on my debt and her debt right away, and we paid it off. So, because we did that, it felt more worth it. Where if it was hanging around till I'm 50 years old, and I got a sport management degree, I don't think it was very worth the paper that it's on. But the experiences, I agree with you, and I've been following you for a long time too, and like seeing some of the SEC games you're on the field, you're doing all this stuff. Like it just looks like an absolute blast, and they do it different in the SEC, I think.
They do it different in Knoxville.
Maybe I'm making this up. Did you go to College World Series last year?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
University of Tennessee won. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Couldn't have been
And
more fun.
because I used to live in Omaha for a few years, and so we would go, and I can't remember the bar's name, but they do the Jello shots.
Yeah, Rocco's. I think it is maybe something like that.
I don't know if that was it, but I saw you guys were there. And did Tennessee win the Jello shot competition too?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
Wasn't it like,
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it was that. I mean, that's a great example. I mean, you're right. It totally depends on where you're at financially and where you are in the country and what schools you're looking at going to. I mean, a lot of it depends. You make a good point. I mean, it's expensive entertainment for 4 years. I will say nothing will compare to for SPS. We're talking solely business. I've learned more through mentors in my life and people in my life, conversations with even you, Luke, and conversations with other contractors in the area, lunch meetings, and again, something that I want to dive into a little bit. I The best piece of advice that I would have for a young business owner is going to be talk to everybody and don't be afraid of it. So, I mean, I would call every single landscaper, every single hardscaper, every single builder in Georgia, give them a brief summary, brief story, find your way to the upper management and say, hey, hey, I'm Zach Miller. I'm 22 years old. I have this company. You're 55 and have had a company in Atlanta for 30 years. I would love to take you to lunch. Lunch specifically is the best
yep,
investment I think you can make ever. A $30 lunch, $50 lunch, even if it's a $150 lunch, whatever it is worth more than anything. I've learned so much through taking, I do lunch 3 to 4 times a week in the summer with everyone from my industry, from other industries, from guys, a sign company, just because he is a
yep.
business owner too. Learning from that is the most valuable financial asset that I could say. I mean, it's costs you a couple $100. It doesn't even have to. It costs you $100 a week to go to lunch 2 or 3 times. You will learn so much. And that's how I've learned almost everything I know.
Dude, that is so good. And we actually haven't had somebody talk about that on the show yet. And I couldn't agree more. And especially when you're younger in business, you're younger in age, whatever it might be. And somebody told me this, they're like, in your 20s, you can do anything. No, everyone, you can reach out to anyone, you can say anything. You're
They
not going to
love it.
embarrass, they love it. You're not going to embarrass yourself. Maybe it's a little different, of course, if you're 45 and you're reaching out, it doesn't come off the same. But
Right.
if you're young or if you're just starting a business and you say, hey, can I take you to lunch? I'll pay for it. It's on me. And just no matter what the other person's financial position is, always offer to pay, like you said. And I was trying to look it up as you were talking there. I think there's a book. Okay, yeah, there's a book called Never Eat Alone. And I think it's talking about like never eat lunch alone. And hand up, I'm guilty of this. I love just going, grabbing my barbecue and eating. But the the concept of it is, hey, you're gonna eat anyway. You're gonna eat lunch. Grab somebody and go to lunch with them and offer to pay. And you brought it up so perfectly too. Not just going out with clients, not just going out with potential sales leads or things like that. It's like go out with your insurance person, your sign guy, your somebody else that's in business, the mother of somebody who you work with or is on your team, and just there are so many great conversations you can have. And then to take it one step further, one of my favorites is just being authentically curious. Like, don't talk so much about yourself, ask questions about them. And that's how you'll get the most value for yourself, but also you're so much more attractive to talk with. I feel like if you're asking questions about them and their passions and what gets them excited. So I love that. Never eat alone. Probably one of the best investments you can make, as you said, is just taking people out to lunch, and it definitely will pay off.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I've had. I mean, just people in my life are, successful entrepreneurs, or I've seen people in my life. But the most important lesson that I've learned at such a young age, and I think that's what sets me apart, is networking. Just to kind of reharp on what we're saying, is networking is more valuable than anything in the world. I mean, meeting people and knowing somebody, or having someone in your phone, or knowing someone that knows somebody, and not just, doing it because they owe you, or doing it because, I mean, we have lots of guys that I've had other contractors who you could call competitors, or my dump trailer's down. I need this job. I'm like, dude, go pick up mine. We're not using my dump trailer today. He's in my same area, same zip code. We're competing on bids. But because I helped him out the other day, we were, as stupid it was, our mini skid wasn't working, and he was down the road and knew about it and said, "Oh, like Zach, like you can totally use our mini. Like we're done with it for the week. Like just use it all week." And I didn't do it. I didn't let him use my dump trailer because I owed him, or because I wanted him to owe me. I did it because I wanted to help somebody out. Him and I have developed a pretty good relationship. I mean, we get lunch, like I said. I mean, we talk about hard stories of my clients. We talk about rough things that he's going through. If there's a job I can't handle, he may know how to tackle it. He's not trying to take the work from me. He wants to help me. He's
Yeah.
a younger guy too, but he's has years of experience on top of me, and I may be younger than him, but he may never know. Maybe he has a question about something that we've just tackled. We did docks. We did these dock stairs, this custom dock stairs down onto a beach that we built on the Chattahoochee River. It's beautiful. And he was building a beach in a similar property a couple months later, and he said, "Zach, is there any way I could go client walk?" And multiple good connections here. I made a good connection with that client, told him a story. Yeah, of course. So me and this competitor went to go look at one of my projects to teach him how to do it. I mean, it's not always about owing somebody something, or always about how to make the most amount of money. It's about building relationships and networking. I mean, no matter where you are, if you're at dinner, if you're at Home Depot, if you're at a coffee shop, if you're in traffic and your window's down, I mean, you never know. You
Yeah.
can always meet somebody that can help you grow or help them grow.
Yeah. Get off your phone, keep your head up, open your eyes, and be aware to those opportunities. You gave some incredible advice there. I'd love to hear one more piece of advice to our listeners. Is just the if somebody's in the attitude or the mindset of, no one can do it like me in their business, what would you say to them or to yourself? Maybe if you were in that attitude of just like, what else is out there, and how do you kind of break free from that? Because all the things we're talking about of growth and scaling and building a team, you can't have that mindset of no one can do it like me, because you're just always going to be doing everything yourself.
Yeah, so if you make a good point. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can take this. No one can do it like me. You're not going to grow. I mean, you can't grow. If you are, your boots are dirty every single day. You're not going to be able to focus in the office. If your boots are dirty every single day, you're not going to be able to go meet with customers every day. If your boots are in the mud every single day, you're not going to be able to go buy new equipment or go spend time forming connections and networking like we're talking about. You can't be in every single spot at once as much as you want to be. And that was a tough lesson for me. I mean, I love being involved in every piece of my business, but you can't. I mean, you can't grow. If you ever want to sell one day, you can't sell yourself, right? I mean, you're selling your company.
Yeah.
If you want to continue to grow, you can't be in every single piece. You can't handle everything. You gotta take a step back. You have to implement people into like we talked about, implement people into these places that you trust them to handle sales. You trust them to handle operations. You trust your lady in the office. That way you're able to focus on business development, growing the company, making these connections, buying new equipment, building relationships while your team is in place, working on the day to day, working on the material orders, working on the invoicing and the estimating. You got to be able to take a step back, or you're never going to be able to grow, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, and that's Very well said too. And a lot of times, uh, you find your strength and your weakness. And oh no, gosh, let me back up here for a sec. I was just reading this. It said the owner's strength uh, long term becomes the business's weakness. And I thought that was very well said. And so, as an example, let's say myself, my strength might be sales at Phaser. And it is our biggest strength, but long term, it's going to turn into our weakness because of where I'm being pulled. And I think that's so great to look at because you always want to have that contingency plan or that succession plan or that growth of, okay, how can I get somebody in here that can give 100% of their focus to this one division or to this one area of our company? And so, I love looking into that. And also, what people listening might not realize either, or might have already gone through, is that their favorite place to be and their place where they're best at is different for everybody. And so, whether that's in the field leading the crews, whether that's in the office, whether that's out in the community, or a combination, you have to find where that level is and where you are best fit, and also where you are your best self, and then supplement the other areas where you can't be. And so,
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, because you and we can talk about that. I mean, when we signed Phaser, it was a lot of the reason because I was talking to you. So I mean, if it
yeah,
wasn't, when you are obviously Phaser's best sales asset. So if you were fully removed from sales, that could be a problem. But if you had, a sales guy that you trust and and knows enough about your business and are able to sell it the same way you are, then I would still be a customer. So you
yeah.
can't be afraid to put a sales guy in there.
Yeah, and I think since we're talking about that, it's we just recently hired Joe Casey on our team. He equipment operator, just graduated college from Mankato, where I went, and great guy, great head on his shoulders. And the way I look at it is, I eventually he's a business development manager, and I don't want to right now. I'm doing the sales, but I'm not working any sort of CRM. I'm not working any old leads. It's just I might get a DM on Instagram from somebody and I'll jump on a call with them. And I'm always happy to do that. Always doors wide open. I put my phone number on like every episode, and yeah, people know that they can reach out to me anytime. However, when it comes to truly giving these leads the time they deserve and the follow up they deserve and the care, I'm not able to provide that. And that's just me being honest with myself,
Yep.
looking at our company. And so I do think that there will be a little bit of that dip of maybe we won't be closing as much, but then I think long term it'll of
Bounce
course
back.
increase from there.
You're
And I
totally
don't
right. I learned the same thing. I mean, it
yeah,
was it was tough to take a step back because I thought, I mean, this is a great example. I thought I could sell better than anybody. I'm like, you know what? No one is going to sell as good as me. And it took a few months for him to sell as good as me.
yeah,
But now I don't have to sell because David can. I mean,
yeah,
I was our best seller. I knew that for a fact. I know, and again, everyone, I know my business more than anybody is like the whole mindset that we're trying to fix here. And it was true. I truly felt that I knew my business more than anyone. I know what my guys can do. I know what our strong suit is. I know what products look best. I know what looks best in your property. And that could have been the case, but I hired somebody who can also see what I can see. And it took me time to train him and get him to that point. But now he can do the exact same thing I can, if not better, because he has a sales background on top of teaching him everything that I know. So he's able to do that job for me and allows me to now focus on the next piece and may do the exact same thing in the next piece is hire somebody who, oh my God, no, I know this so much better than them. Maybe I don't hire them, teach them what I know. They teach me what they know, and they end up, you may see, you're right, you may see a dip a little bit, and then it shoots right back up.
yeah. And just having those company wide standards where it's not just you setting the standard, it's your whole team saying, hey, this is how we do things. This is how we treat people. This is how we go about these things. But then also always learning and innovating, I think, is so important. Um, Pivoting a little bit and curious to, as a business owner, we always have conflict, right? So curious to see through your
Like,
years of owning SPS here, from age 14 to 22, how have how have you managed conflict? How have you grown? What are some situations? Have you changed? Are you the same? Talk a little bit about that as an owner, as a leader, how you've managed conflict.
Yeah, so quickly, I know you and I spoke a couple weeks back, talked about how both of us are in positions of what we call being a firefighter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I call my job now, as a joke to my team and maybe even like close clients or family, is yes, I'm the owner, but if you could give me a job description, it would be firefighter. So we've developed a team that can handle day to day and do all the things. When I really come in, it's to fight fires, and fires are awful, right? Fires are, sod didn't get delivered on time. The customer's ringing Catherine's phone up 100 ways. Catherine doesn't know what to do because she doesn't know how to handle that large of a conflict. So dealing with conflict from small scale, uh, the sod's not going to be there. It's going to be there in 3 days. Dealing with the customer being upset, well, I need it done for this Super Bowl party. I need it done for real estate pictures. And then going all the way to, which is totally our fault, installing sod in the middle of the winter for a client, which we totally did. Dealing with that customer calling me and cussing me out and screaming at me and saying things to me that I've never heard somebody say to me before. The way I handle the two of them is the exact same way. So it's, and the saying the customer is always right, I wish I didn't agree with, but it's true. I mean, you make them happy. At least in my opinion. I know some people have different opinions on it. But if the customer wants something done, you make it happen. Even if it loses you money, loses you time, moves your schedule, costs you more equipment, more diesel, whatever it is. If it means maintaining a good relationship with the client or even keeping the client happy or not, whatever it is, that's worth it to me. So I've discounted as small inconvenience. We have, and Pine Straw Mulch, we've phased out of a tiny bit just because we're growing, and it's hard to stay profitable once you get to a certain point,
Yeah.
at least in our business model. Even that's a great example. We have a 100 bale pine straw job or 200 bale pine straw job scheduled for, April 1st. And we find out the straw's not going to come until April 3rd, so we can't install until April 4th. I call her on April 1st. Hey, last minute. So sorry, we can't get there till April 4th. Without even giving her the chance to get mad at me, we've included a 20% discount on top of your estimate just for the inconvenience. So staying ahead of the conflict
Mhm.
is our best way of doing this. So yes, it may lose me money, and yes, and you may only make on certain products 20%, 50%, 25%, 30%, 50%. But if it means saving a bad review, which bad reviews are, as you heard in marketing, is
Dude.
the no in the world. I mean, it doesn't,
Yeah.
I would pay thousands of dollars not to get a bad review, right?
Yeah.
So same thing with having a client just, have bad blood. They may not even put it on the internet, but I much rather go to Joe Schmo's house and he is incredibly happy with me and
Yep.
his neighbor is getting work done. It's like, you know what? Let me ask Joe what they did over there. I couldn't be happier with Zach's team. They may have given us a bad pallet of sod, but they called me before I even gave them the chance and said, we are taking this pallet off or we're replacing this pallet. So staying ahead of the conflict is a good thing. But then obviously the inevitable when you do have conflict, dealing with the proper way. So allowing the customer to, and again, no one wants to be yelled at, but if you're in the wrong, take it. Like be a man. I mean, take the conflict. If,
Yeah.
for example, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but let's say Phaser did something that shut our website down for 2 weeks and we lost a bunch of leads. I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to yell at you for it. You're going to sit there and be, you know what? Correct me if I'm wrong. What would you do if I sat there and was yelling at you for our website being down for 2 weeks?
I mean, it's so easy. You address the conflict, and for one, you gather information because I don't know what happened. And so, okay, Zach, let me take a look and let me check with our team. I didn't realize it was down. And I think the most important thing is just being transparent of like, we are all human. We didn't do this on purpose, usually
Right.
ever. Like you said, with the bad sod, with the website going down, anything like that. So let me gather information. Let me take care of it. Let me take the weight off of your shoulders right now. Let me put it on my shoulders. Let me figure it out. Gather the information and give you a clear deadline of when I'm going to contact you back. Contact you back on the phone, not texting, not slacking, none of that, and just have a resolution. And for me, our long term relationship, our long-term partnership matters way more to me than a month's worth of, a $1,500 payment or two
Couldn't
months
agree
worth
more.
or whatever that is. It's irrelevant. And so wanting to make sure that even if you're so upset that you want to offboard us, it's like if that's the route you want to go, I apologize. Like I always say, and we truly do our best with this. We offboard just as well as we onboard. And when we offboard a client, which we do, it happens, making sure they feel heard, making sure they still feel taken care of, making sure that that their problems are being heard and that they have an understanding that, okay, this usually doesn't happen. We didn't want this to happen and we want to make it right and fix it. So, as the business owner, you have a lot of right, you have a lot of responsibility, you have a lot of levers you can pull financially, relationally, with your team, with them, the client, and you better make it happen. And so, it's it's one of those things where the long-term relationship and reputation matter a whole lot more than any amount of money. And that also, not to go too far into it, but what I want to avoid as well on a different note is future like lawsuits or litigation or anything that'll come up that is 10x that for damages. And so it's like, let me take care of it. Let me figure this out. I'm sorry, taking it on the shins, and also just being human and transparent of like, our team didn't want this. I didn't want this. And one last thing I'll say on that is Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership. It starts with the owner. It starts with me. It starts with you. If I'll just pick on Josie. If Josie did something wrong and it messed something up and the website went down for 2 weeks, that's not Josie's fault. It's me because you take it on the shins. You take it as the owner because I should have been overseeing that. So, and especially too, I'll take it one more step further. When you are the owner and you have 100% ownership and equity and all this upside and downside potentially in your business, you want to take that burden off of your employees. Your employees are getting paid a set salary, they're getting paid a set hourly range. You are the business owner. You should always try and take the burden off of them, especially in conflict situations when they can't handle it themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you worded that perfectly. I mean, it's the exact same thing. You're right. I mean, it's taking it on the shin. It's dealing with the problem, even no matter what I was saying. I mean, it doesn't matter if you lose, $1,500 monthly payment. It doesn't matter if you lose $3,000 on a $20,000 job. Protecting your name, protecting your reputation, doing right by the client, being trustworthy and honest. I mean, not only just reviews on the internet, but like we were saying earlier, I mean, you want to be proud of your company. You want to be able to say, "Oh, this is my company." I mean, wear it on your chest, literally. I mean, wear it on your head, on your hat, on the side of your trucks. You don't want someone to see that company, no matter who it is, and you're at Publix or you're at Home Depot and you're sitting outside and someone's like, "Oh God, that company, they did me so dirty." I mean, you
Yeah.
want someone to look at them and say, that company went above and beyond. And that's a great model that we focus on, not even just with conflict, with everything we do. I mean, it may be there we've given up, which people can agree or disagree, but the way we structure it is if we quote a job, get it done, blah blah. We're not necessarily, yes, we're going to do everything on the quote, but let's say we notice something on the job site that's going to cost us a couple $100. We're not charging the client for it. We're just going to do it because we want to make it look better.
Right.
And sometimes I mean, right, we're giving up some opportunity to make a little bit more money. But let's say they quote four, azaleas, and we notice 12 azaleas in the space would look 10 times better than four. We may change order and ask, "Oh, what do you think?" Or we may just say, "You know what? This is what we know is going to look best. We're just going to do it in the best interest of you as the client." And
Yeah.
they walk out there and they're like, "Whoa, like this is it's 10 times more than what we asked for." And I'm like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. This is exact. We want to be proud of your property. I want to not only do I want to take a picture of it and post it all over my social media and say, this is how good, this is the great work that we do. This is how pretty our work is. But I want you to walk in your backyard every day and say, wow, this is worth every penny. These guys are awesome." That way, when you walk out to your front yard and you're like, "You know what? I want my front yard to look like my backyard." Who are you going to call? The guys who went above and beyond. We may be more expensive. We may book out farther than the other guys, but we went above and beyond for you the first time. Of course, we'll do it the second, the third, the fourth, the 10th time. So that's a great model that we have always kind of focused our business on is going above and beyond the scope of the original work.
Yeah, I mean that is so awesome. And what I wrote down too as you were talking about that is the service delivery or the project is different from your character. And you want, let's say a project goes really well or a project goes horribly wrong. No matter what, you want them to attest to your character in a positive way.
Right.
Because no matter what, whether it's in your business or my business or anyone listening, you're going to have projects fail. You're going to have your service fail. You're going to have upset clients. Um,
No
you know,
matter how perfect you are.
no matter how perfect you are, and no matter what, you can still have people attest to your character. Yeah, we worked with Phaser and it was a bit of a shit show. They dropped the ball on this, this, and this. But I gotta say, they still friends with them. They're still good people. We still support their fundraiser, or we still cheer for them. We still cheer for Zach with SPS. Still refer him some clients here and there. It just didn't work out for us. Like that's what you want is people to attest to your character, and it's hard because you do have to give up a lot. You do have to cut your margins. You do have to kind of forget about the financial side sometimes, but that will help you build a business that'll sustain and grow long term and really just build the relationships you need to build, which is such a big point of this episode here of that I'm hearing you talk about is like the relationships you build are everything. Your reputation is everything. You need to keep that intact with everything you can. And as a business owner, you do have a lot of sway in that.
100%.
Man, that's so good. Would love to hear. So let's see, what are we at? 2025, 2030. So we'll skip ahead 5 years. And you mentioned something about selling a company, which we don't talk about a whole lot on here, but I love the discussion of acquisitions and whether it's you acquiring another company or you being acquired. I think it sometimes gets a bad rep because people think you're just selling out. However, what I will say is that you should always be building your business to sell, even if you don't want to sell, because all that means is you're getting your operations in line, you're becoming profitable, you're investing in your people and your company, in systems. So curious to hear your thoughts on, where will SPS be in 2030, 5 years from now? Where will you be? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, while it's on our mind, go ahead and leave a note. I would love for you to have a, business broker on the podcast one day because
Oh,
I've done two or three phone calls with business brokers, and oh my Lord, they know so much.
so it's funny you bring that up. We've also had a few people bring that up too of potentially having that as a Dirtbags University webinar topic. Have a panel of three, maybe somebody that has bought and sold a few businesses, a business broker, and then a third that can kind of be the in between there. But I think it'd be super interesting because you don't just want to liquidate the price of your used equipment and get that. It's putting the time and effort into this. You want a retirement maybe, or you want to buy another business. And so I think that'd be fascinating. It's definitely on our docket. Honestly,
Yeah.
hopefully this fall we'll put together a panel and do a webinar on it.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the little bits that I've learned. I don't want to give false information out there, but I've talked to where I'm not prepping to sell anytime soon, but I've talked to brokers. I mean, as a lot of business owners know, once you open the door of owning a business, you get called by everyone, emailed by everybody. So I was called and emailed hundreds of times by business brokers, and I finally one day thought, why not? Well, let's entertain one, just hear what they have to say. Ended up doing that and learned that there's checklists. Which again, I'll leave it to the experts, but there are hundreds of things to do to prep a business to sell. And every single one of these things are good to do to not only, excuse me, not only do to prep your business to sell, but also get your business in line. So it's things like signing it, having a 10-year lease option for your shop or your yard, having payment structures all on documents and sheets talking about your equipment that you have and what you owe on it and holding depreciation and working with your CPA and your accountants to keep track of what that looks like. Again, it's a world that definitely is farther than what I know being 22, but I've learned a little bit from them. But my to touch on my personal, I guess, plans for the next 5 years, I would continue. I want to continue to take not a further step back in SPS, but starting with programs like Open Fund, like we talked about, I do want to remove myself from day to day. So I don't
Mhm.
want, same thing you're doing, Luke. I don't want, if a client has a problem, I want it to be screened. I want it to go through Catherine, want it to then go to the operation manager. Then if it needs to go to me, go to me. You and I spoke on this a couple weeks back. We call it trash can fires, dumpster fires, house fires.
Yeah.
I will handle house fires. If I'm the owner of SPS, there's no way, no matter who you hire, that can handle your house fires.
Yep.
But my trash can and my dumpster fires, I want handled. Uh,
Yep.
I have other things going on, other ventures that I'm looking into, other investments that I've made, not just in the construction industry, but in other industries that we can touch on if you're interested. But um, I want SPS to be able to run pretty much by itself with me overseeing. So what that looks like in the next 3 to 5 years is continuously investing into the company, not being afraid to acquire equipment, trucks, programs like Open Phone, which are very expensive, sales intel, which is a very expensive program we use for sales. CRMs like Jobber, which are expensive, communication means like Slack, which you're aware of. I mean,
Yep.
all sorts of these programs, they add up, they add up, they add up. All sorts of trucks, they add up, they add up, they add up. Equipment, add up, add up. Investing in upper management, it's expensive as hell. They're salary guys. I mean, you can't hiring a $60,000 guy, a $70,000 guy that you have to support in the winter is incredibly hard. And the guys that are listening from the Southeast, you guys up north are very lucky. I mean, y'all have snow. We do not have snow. So, I mean, we have to find a way to stay alive in the winter,
Yeah.
which is something I would love to talk about as well. But so it's all about finding, investing in the right tools, equipment, people, trucks to allow your business to keep growing. Just not being afraid of it. I mean, I'm personally not one of the big guys that likes to have a bunch of debt or pull out a lot of financing. I mean, we've financed a truck through a personal loan, and then we also like through a family business venture, and then we also I believe we owe a little bit of money on one of our machines, but other than that, if we buy another truck, a trailer, other machinery, I just prefer to buy it outright.
Yep.
I don't necessarily have any. I don't think it's bad to pull out loans. I'm curious, I mean, I know a lot of guys have talked about it before, but everyone has their own opinions on it. I'll leave that to the other guys who have more years than me on that. But I have a plan to keep growing this thing. I'm not afraid to invest the money that we're making. Yeah, it's great to have a lot of money in your pockets, but it's also great to keep growing the business, and you can't be afraid to reinvest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what you mentioned there. And for people listening to it, it's we've had lots of conversations, whether it's good to buy or rent, whether it's good to take out loans or not take out loans or something in between. And the great part is it's different for everybody, and everyone has their own way of doing it. And Luke Payne, shout out to Luke, we would always talk about this, and what works for him does not work for like a lot of other people. And it's almost scary because sometimes we would talk about it kind of tongue in cheek and just talk about what he's up to, and then somebody new would do what he's doing and it would just like ruin their life almost. And so no matter what people say for advice, no matter what people are recommending, like you always got to take your ownership and do your own research. Take a look at where you're at in the country. Take a look at your situation. If you're about to have a baby in a week, if you have 8 kids, if you're, there's so many variables that you can't forget about. So,
Whatever
um,
works for you. You worded it perfectly great. I mean,
yep,
you never know. Renting may be best in your area, borrowing equipment from other buddies,
yep,
purchasing outright, just
yeah.
taking out a loan. I mean, you're right. You never know.
I will say it does come down to you have to know your numbers. You have to know your at some point your utilization rate. You can't just have all this new equipment sitting and not doing anything. And so you need to know your cash flow situation, what you have coming up. And so that kind of brings me. You mentioned it a second ago, and I'd love to touch on it. Winter. So you guys, what do you do in the winter exactly? And like you mentioned, some people might be thinking the same thing about you is like you're the lucky one, you don't have snow. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that when it comes to business, what you guys do, how do you keep people busy? Do you keep people on? What does that look like with where you're at?
So I wish I had that answer. I
Yeah.
don't have that answer. I've looked for that answer. A lot of guys, in our industry who do podcasts and videos and have touched on this, and I don't have the answer. What we do and are trying to do and still trying to figure out is I don't overhire in the busy season, which is hard. And I think, Luke, I was actually talking to your phaser team about this the other day is we're booked out for 90 days. As much as I would love to hire 10 more guys and start two more crews, I
Yeah.
know in the winter I can't afford it. So
Right.
I'm turning down jobs right now, which sucks. Or which we've started doing. I'm curious what other listeners in the comments, if they want to mention, I'm curious what their thoughts are. We offer large discounts in the winter. So
Mm,
we send out a bid for $90,000 right now. I may say, but if you let us do it in November, you let us do it in December, I can do it for 80. And they're like, whoa, why is that?
interesting.
And our profit margins may go from 30% on the project to 22, but it's worth it because, and hell, if we went to 15, it'd be worth it because there becomes a point where I don't want to hire and fire. I love my guys. I work my ass off to find good guys. And once I find them, I don't want to lose them. And I also don't want to lose a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
So I'm losing money. In the past couple of years, I've lost money in the winter. And so I've developed this new system with our sales manager, and it's worked. So now we may not be booked. What are we in? April, May, June, July. We may not be booked out in August and September, but as of today, we are booked out in November, December completely.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, wait. So there's a gap where August,
yeah,
September, you're not booked out, but November. Interesting. So
because we offered that discount. We
that
gave
is,
them a very, very large discount, large scale installs, full backyard renovation with pool deck.
mhm.
What else? The gazebo, big retaining walls, and they just couldn't afford it. And they were about to say no to us as a
Mm,
contractor. They just can't do it. And I said, you know what? We will give you 15% off, 20% off, and we will do it for you in November. We'll do it for you in December. And it ended up becoming our Luke. I don't know if you remember before you took the next leap in phaser, and when you were on all everyday calls, you and I spoke about it. Last December was actually one of our best months we've had.
mhm.
Uh, we dealt with a customer who gave us $180,000 to work in a warehouse, and we did it in December. And as everybody
Wow.
knows, working in December is a difficult period. I mean, you have New Year's, you have Christmas, you have all the days off, the shops are closed. Our stone yard specifically, it's the only time they take holiday. They take 2 weeks off then. So I mean, it's
Wow.
December is a difficult month. There's not a ton of snow because we're in Atlanta, but I mean, there's little bits of snow. It's cold. Um, so I've learned now, and I think this is what's going to be our solution moving forward, is providing large discounts, not at a loss, but large discounts at almost break even or even just 10% profit, 15% profit to be able to keep my crews, keep my
Mhm.
guys, keep making payments on, if you have payments, keep making payments on skid steers, trucks, insurance. I mean, because all these things add up. I mean, our monthly costs are out the roof. I mean, they're
Yeah.
crazy. It's open phone, Jobber, all of our online programs as small as phone bills just for my sales guys. I mean, everything is gas. Like I said, insurance is incredibly expensive. So being able to cash flow these things require us to stay busy. I don't really have an option to not have a job in November or December anymore because
Yeah.
then I'm having to make a ton of money and hold it to then spend it to stay alive, keep the lights on. So this has been, I think, my solution, and I'll be able to. If we talk again and do this show again in a year,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what happens this winter. But from what it sounds like, that's what's going to keep us alive this winter.
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely will have a second episode, and I'm so curious to hear everyone listening their thoughts on that. And
Yeah,
if that's common for you guys for what you've done, I think that's so well thought out and prepared based on years previous of like, okay, I know we're slow in the winter, I know it's a tough time, so how can we turn this into a good thing? And like you mentioned with that client that you booked the project with, they likely weren't going to be able to do it. and
Totally right.
it worked out perfect. And I think what some people might miss, and I had missed this as well, and that's why I'm bringing it up, is you're booked out, let's say 2 months, and then there's the gap, this August, September, October, but then you have November and December booked, which for you, you're more, you want to get November, December booked before the fall. And I think that is thinking ahead. You're strategically giving the client something that is a win for them in a negotiation, but also it's a win for you because you now have cash flow in the wintertime. So, um, one thing
So
I want, what was
And
that?
interesting that you brought that up. So the you asked me to think about a book, and the book that I'm in the process of reading, actually, Catherine, who I was telling you, we were talking and be on the show and everything. It's like, so yeah, what kind of books, like blah blah, because she's a huge reader. I'm to be
Yeah,
honest, not a huge reader. The book is The Molecule of More. Have you heard of it?
I have not read it though.
Okay, so the molecule of more talks about forward thinking. So it's interesting that you said that. So it talks about
Mm,
dopamine, which is obviously a brain chemical, and it talks about desire, ambition, creativity, and forward thinking. So it's talking about not just worrying about the now, but worrying about 6 months from now, worrying about 2 years from now. And I'm just new into the book, so I can't give it all to you. And I want the listeners to look at it because Catherine swears by it. And
yeah,
as you can contest, my office aide Catherine, she's a badass.
she is. She is the
So,
company.
oh, for sure. So it's not just about chasing the paycheck.
Yeah.
And this book talks about how dopamine helps you like stay future focused rather than just worrying about
Mm.
what's in the now. So it's something that I'm excited to read. I'm excited to tell you about after I read it all. But I felt like that was a good time to bring that up because
Oh,
you,
dude, that's perfect. That is now on my list. And for all of you listening, that is The Molecule of More. And for my book recommendation, I know I've been on fire with a few. I'm trying to think which one I want to recommend here. I'll do one of the newer ones I've been getting into, Endless Customers by Marcus Sheridan. I have a good core a few core books that I like to recommend, and that's one of my newer ones. Marcus Sheridan is, I saw him speak at the Dirt World Summit. He is one of the most captivating speakers I've ever heard, and he is just so good. And then he just came out with this new book, Endless Customers. And so just cracking into it. By the time this episode releases, I should be done with it. So excited to give you guys a full review of that. But The Molecule of More, that's why I love this segment so much because every time there's like a new book I haven't read yet. And for our listeners too, likely they hadn't read it yet either. So definitely appreciate that. Now that couldn't have been more perfect timing there.
yeah.
So before we wrap up, I do want to get into two more things, if that's all
Yeah.
right.
Go
This has
for it.
just been so good. Zach, thank you again for being on the
Yeah,
show.
I really appreciate you having me.
For Before we get into a couple more topics here, for people listening, what's the best way they can reach out to you if they have questions, if they just want to let you know they listened to the episode? What's the best way they can
Yeah.
reach out to you?
My personal Instagram, zach.miller.18, ZACH. That's probably the best way, or even through our website, southernpropertyservices18.com. There's, the form intake form on there. You can even fill it out. Phone number's on there. Shoot me a text. Would love to hear from anybody.
Yeah. And if you think the website sucks, we did not build it. If you think it's great, Phaser Marketing did take care of that one. So, um, awesome. So, Zach, you mentioned it earlier. I want to touch on it. You said you talked about investing, investments, other things going on. You said if we want to touch on it, we can. I would love to hear more about what else is in the hopper, what else you got going on. Obviously, feel free to share whatever you want, but I think that is just fascinating to hear. Kind of what are some other things you got going on as well?
Yeah. So, um, fortunate for me, there's a few family members in my life that are involved in development, which is a little bit of a different field. So it's specifically, he is a developer who brings investors in, and he coordinates the development between subcontractors of the grading of the property, the site development, and then the vertical construction. And that's just leveraging these investors to then work with his team that manages the then subcontractors. So he is a developer is what they call it, not necessarily a superintendent or a project
Mhm.
manager, but the developer who then hires these people in place. He has given me the opportunity to take me under his wing. So I that requires all of my attention and time. So that's something that will take a lot of a full load for me. So I have to focus on that. I also have a passion for flipping houses. I mean, I've been lucky enough to make a decent amount of capital through Southern Property Services. So leveraging that capital to other investments. So I'm very into real estate as well as the stock market and things like that. So moving my money, not just holding it, I think is very important. Keeping it in a
Yep.
bank account's cool, it's fun, it's flashy, but it doesn't really make you more money. So either if it's investing it back in Southern Property Services through owner distributions or owner investments into the company rather,
Yep.
or working my money in the stock market or working my money into flipping houses. That's my other third venture that I'm going to work at the same time is buying a house, leveraging my networking connections through all these contractor fields that I've met through lunches, through everything that
Yep.
we were talking about earlier. Um, and flipping a house and making money on that and starting to do that every year as well. So I'm addicted to work. I love
Yep.
it. I don't think I'll ever stop. I don't care if I'm making $100 million a year. I will not stop working ever.
So fun. It's so
Um,
awesome.
yeah, I love it. I'm obsessed with it. So that's my plan is to um, grow SPS to the point where I can take a back seat and only take out the house fires,
Yep.
work for this developer and learn the ropes and eventually hopefully have the opportunity to take in a larger managerial role in that company. Maybe even do it myself if SPS sells, use the capital to work and do that myself. And then third, flip houses.
Yeah, it's such a great discussion because our businesses are a great vehicle to ideally, make a profit
Yep.
and to have an owner distribution. We're not all doing this crazy stuff for free, and so this spurred a discussion maybe a few weeks ago in this mastermind group I'm in, and somebody's like, what do you guys do with your distributions? Like, what do you do with your money? I've never made money like this. And it was really cool because it was almost like you want to put the money to work and you want to have almost like you kind of look at them as like other businesses and diversify. And so real estate, if it's buying a house and you have a renter, that's a business, right? And it's something you put money into and you make money from it. Or the stock market, I even consider that like a little business as well, or your 401ks or whatever those are. And so, but just putting your money to work. And I think getting on a good schedule of running a healthy business. And of course, that's the goal is to get to a point where your taxes are paid, your employees and your team are paid very well, and they have a great career, and you have a nice. We do quarterly distributions, so it's like a quarterly distribution plan where after we pay our quarterly taxes, then we can take a distribution, and then put that to work as well. And so I just think that's really cool to hear you talk about it, where there's is not just the one thing, and you love working, you love SPS, you love getting out in the field, you love doing all of this stuff, and none of that is going away. And you know what I
Right.
mean? It's like you're still doing all of it, you're just diversifying it and making sure that you're putting it to work. And I'm a huge fan of Shark Tank and watch every single episode. I always like Kevin O'Leary. He always says, he's like, I want to put my capital as like a little army. I want them to go out and like come back with more and all of that. And I just think it's such a fun way to think about it. But
Well,
there's
that's a great way to look at it. I mean, you're
yeah,
right. I mean, making your money work is obviously the way to make more money. I mean, that's the way to once you get to a point where you have enough money to have it keep working and keep working. That's the true truth to wealth, right? I mean, once you have money and it's working and it's making you more money and that money's making you more money, it's awesome. But it's also you also want to be able to have some fun and play around a little bit too, and that's where another very important part I think is me being so young and being so blessed, and I have worked my ass off to grow this company, but I get to play. I get to, as you know, I mean, you follow me on social media. I mean, I love traveling. I get to go.
yeah,
I'm very lucky. I get to travel all the time. As you know, I'm leaving tomorrow on a vacation. I mean, I,
You just got back yesterday.
right. I mean, it's crazy, but I work my ass off, right? I mean, I'm
Yep.
not afraid of a 16-hour work day, and then I make good money, right? And then after I reinvest some of this money, I find what I'm comfortable with doing and reinvest in not only my future and the company, but also myself, which is entertainment, it's play, it's buying myself nice things, it's going on vacation, it's experiencing life, not just
Yeah.
sitting there on your butt in your small town or in whatever town you are and just staying there. I mean, if you've worked your ass off, reward yourself sometimes.
Yeah, man, that is so cool. And I just the the impact you can make on others, the amount of like fun you can have, the different experiences you can go have, the ability you can do to the ability you can have to bless others as well. It's a really fun opportunity, especially with business, because there are so many more variables where it is this uncapped ceiling and there aren't as many rules to it.
Right.
And of course, there's nothing wrong with having a job and there's nothing wrong with owning a business, but it's just a different way to go about it. So I love the way you look at it. And even Dave Ramsey talks about this, your money should be, you should give it, you should enjoy it, and you should save it. Like those three things,
Totally agree.
there has to be I guess I shouldn't say even buckets, but you should do all three,
Yeah.
where you should give outrageously, you should spend and on yourself and on experiences, and it's a tool, it's a resource, and then of course you should save it for other investments, other businesses, other opportunities, and I just think it's a great way to go about it, and yeah, just following your stuff too is really fun to see because there's places that you've been where I'm like, man, we got to go check that out next.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I've,
cool.
I've been lucky for sure.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. Well, this has been such an awesome episode. Zach, can't thank you enough. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for obviously our partnership in business. Thank you for being on the Dirtbags podcast. For people that already know who you are, they know what kind of business owner and leader you are. But for brand new people that don't know who you are, they can now follow you, ask you questions, reach out to you, all of this stuff. So it means a lot that you're on the show. Thank you. We just burned through like an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes so
Really feel
quickly,
like
and I feel like we could have gone longer. So Zach, thank you so much. Excited for our next call and excited to get episode number 2 out after next winter. So
awesome. Thank you, Luke.
all right, man. Appreciate it, dude.